increasing numbers, the nation's youth has been going away to camp. This year has seen more boys and girls at camp than ever before. All of them have enjoyed common experiences, common adventures, building muscle, learning fellowship, acquiring camp spirit.
At this point, we're living under corporate and medical fascism. This is tyranny. When do we get to use the guns? No, and I'm not, that's not a joke. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, literally, where's the line? How many elections are they going to steal before we kill these people?
It's like almost like a soft civil war. You got all the Republicans saying, can we secure our borders? The Democrats saying, I want this to go away. I'm blaming Republicans. The president against the governor of Texas.
I want to talk about the hopes and dreams of millions of Americans.
Have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
I guess aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
News is that we are edging very closely to a civil war. I'm serious, a true constitutional crisis happening at our border.
Yeah, this guy's trying to... You don't like God? Hey! You don't like Jesus? Hey! You can't touch us! Don't touch us! You're on camera. You want to go to jail? You want to go to jail? Don't touch us! We will not be stopped!
A 99-year-old woman broke 3 world swimming records for her age class in the same day, until finally someone noticed she had fallen in.
And the toughest set of reforms to secure the border ever. Now, all indications are this bill won't even move forward to the Senate floor. Why? A simple reason. Donald Trump.
And there are multiple armed groups. Take the Boogaloo Boys, highly suspicious of the authorities and the media, but who agreed to meet us in North Michigan. They say they're not supremacists, just fighting government tyranny.
So for the last 24 hours, he's done nothing, I'm told, but reach out to Republicans in the House and the Senate and threaten them and try to intimidate them to vote against this proposal. And it looks like they're caving. Frankly, they owe it to the American people to show some spine and do what they know to be right.
Is Robert Spencer, director of Jihad Watch. He's author of the new book, Sumter Gambit, How the Left is Trying to Foment a Civil War.
Jesus Christ.
The raucous reaction from some Republicans. What's really going on here?
Well, you know, a lot is being made of the reaction of the Republicans as if it's some kind of unprecedented rudeness to the president. But it has to be understood in the context of the fact that this president is the very first in American history to declare that his principal opponent and his legitimate opposition and essentially half the electorate are outside the bounds of acceptable political discourse and are essentially traitors to the republic.
And Abbott's supporters are currently on a road trip from Virginia to Texas for some vigilante border justice as part of a group they're calling God's Army. Not to be confused with God's Navy, these adorable ducklings.
Do not be deceived. Stop thinking that everybody who waves a flag and shouts freedom is your friend and a good person because we have people like this trying to join up in the movements. I found this out the hard way. I found it out the hard way. That not everybody is in things for the same reasons you are. I was in the People's Convoy, and what a disappointment that ended up being.
You don't have any friends.
What a disappointment to find out that these people that you were with, they weren't like you. They didn't care about the country. They were a bunch of grifting live streamers that wanted to make money off of the people in America who were hardworking and sending their money, little old ladies, old men, people who had to wait for their paychecks so they could give a little bit of money to help people drive around and shout freedom and fight for freedom.
Republicans have been pushing him hard to get tougher on the border, and recently they've resorted to some extreme measures like holding Ukraine aid hostage over the building of a new border wall. It's a plan put forth by Chief GOP strategist Chadimir Dutton.
There is growing interest in man camps where men try to reclaim their masculinity by attending military-style boot camps and getting berated by drill instructors.
So they formed the Ku Klux Klan. And in 1871, the same year the Klan became an illegal terrorist organization, another group was founded, the National Rifle Association.
This to me looks like a Fort Sumter-esque type scenario. We're hearing a lot of crazy rumors, but this does feel like it could be escalating to this federal versus state conflict.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas.
The sheriff is supposed to take a stand and say, not in my county, if a unconstitutional law goes forth, such as a lockdown or, gun confiscation or anything of that.
It was a great year for America, the KKK and the NRA. Of course, they had nothing to do with each other, and this was just a coincidence. One group legally promoted responsible gun ownership, and the other group shot and lynched black people.
But then at night, big gay orgy.
I know that it was really for nothing to find out that the people involved, a lot of the people involved that are involved in this convoy right here were really bad people. They were bad people who did not care about the causes that they joined. They used them for their own profit. How sad is that? When there's people who really care.
The American people want a solution that puts an end to the empty political rhetoric, which has failed to do anything for so long. We have to get the resources to the border to get the job done. So Republicans have to decide, who do they serve? Donald Trump or the American people? Are they here to solve problems or just weaponize those problems for political purposes?
You can't take away immigration, Mitch. That's my best stuff, okay? Look, no, listen, folks. You take away immigration, all I can talk about is how low-flow toilets are giving windmill cancer to whales.
Repeating his nonsense about the January 6th so-called insurrection, the threat to our democracy that it supposedly constituted, and pushing for his radical far-left agenda that would encroach further upon the freedoms of American response was actually quite muted.
If you take a look, the wars, I don't know what it is. The Civil War was so fascinating, so horrible. It was so horrible, but so fascinating. It was... I don't know, it was just different. I just find it, I'm so attracted to seeing it. So many mistakes were made. See, there was something I think could have been negotiated, to be honest with you. I think you could have negotiated that. All the people died, so many people died.
Because there's something coming in this country that I don't think anybody's ready for.
Now, right now, that border bill, it's kind of important because, and I don't want to alarm anyone, we're on the cusp of another civil war.
As soon as we started coming to the public light, we were labeled immediately as terrorists, right-wingers, as even racists.
Part of that also has to deal with the fact that if you don't agree to their ideology, they're going to label whatever they want to label you.
Because they're afraid of Donald Trump. Afraid of Donald Trump. Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends. It's time for Republicans in the Congress to show a little courage, to show a little spine, to make it clear to the American people that you work for them, not for anyone else. I know who I work for. I work for the American people. I'm almost like this. We have to remember who in God's name we are.
But with his track record, the only contest he hasn't lost yet is Miss Black America 2024. Of course, Dems are terrified that illegal aliens will hurt themselves trying to get through the wire. But if it was left up to the Dems, they would replace the wire with silly string.
These might not be hypothetical questions for long.
The last Civil War was unimaginable until it wasn't.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene's absolutely right. The Supreme Court decision yesterday puts the, as Clay Higgins said, kind of a civil war between the federal government and the state of Texas on the defense of the realm, on the defense of the United States of America and her sovereignty.
And there's a lot of people who want it to go back to that.
I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
Holy Sorry, you don't keep out invaders by lining the border with silk sheets and cocoa butter. And it's incredibly easy to avoid razor wire. I've avoided razor wire every day of my life. You know, I've never walked past an auto repair shop and thought, if I can climb through that barbed wire, I can play with that friendly pit bull.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we thought about it carefully over many months.
You're an idiot.
Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright.
This bipartisan immigration bill, President Biden said Republican lawmakers need to ask themselves, quote, who do they serve, Donald Trump or the American people? And Republican lawmakers said they'll get back to him on that. They just have to make a quick phone call.
Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control.
Independent journalist Tucker Carlson has flown to Russia from the U.S. via Turkey to Vnukovo Airport. He saw Spartacus Ballet at the Bolshoi Theater, had lunch in a nice restaurant, went for a ride around town, rode the subway. He charged his smartphone via a USB port and connected to a fast and free Wi-Fi internet.
I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Like and subscribe. Y'all take it easy.
But we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself.